Alright, we are on the draw with some Rug Delver, and this hand actually isn't all that bad. The opponent chose to not play first. I'm going to assume we're playing against 8 rack. So I'm going to keep. We can fetch, play a Serum Visions. That was just about the most suspect thing I have seen. Given that the opponent put us on the play, I'm going to assume we're not going up against any sort of aggro deck, because that would be ridiculous. And therefore I'm going to get a Breeding Pool instead of a Steam Vents here. It's a lot more likely we're going to want green mana than red mana. Our hand has equal numbers of green and red cards in this one Savage Knuckleblade, and when you're going up against a deck that wants to just get rid of all your threats, you want to be able to easily cast your threats. When you're going up a deck that's presenting a lot of threats, you want to cast your answers, which are often lightning bolts. I find it unlikely that our opponent is going to be presenting many threats, so we're going to go with green instead of red. Start off with this Serum Visions. We drew a Mana Leak, Mishra's Bauble going to be on top of the library. Forked Bolt, not something I'm particularly interested in. Send it back to the opponent. Keeping Bauble means we're not super likely to hit our second land drop. Well, sorry, we're not going to hit our second land drop. It does mean that we're going to have a Mishra's Bauble, though. So we're about equal on hitting our third land drop. Here's an Inquisition of Kozilek off of an Urborg. Looks very much like 8 rack. Our opponent's probably going to take one of the counter spells, I imagine. I can't see them taking... I guess they could take Savage Knuckleblade, but that seems pretty unlikely. And these aren't going to be doing much either. Bouncing or reducing the power and toughness on a Mutavault doesn't seem that appealing. Well, they took Nux. So maybe they just don't care about our counterspells. I don't know. I'm just going to play this Mishra's Bauble. We're not going to crack it yet, because we have 2 counters that could be very applicable. We're going to be using it on our opponent's turn here. We don't need to be digging for something to cast. Here's a Thoughtseize, that's fine. So I would rather not draw the card we're drawing off of Mishra's Bauble until after our opponent can no longer make us discard cards. That actually is fantastic. We'll get rid of this Vapor Snag. Crack Bauble, look at their top card. It is an Inquisition of Kozilek. Nice little window there, MTGO giving us. We're going to draw 2, hopefully hit that second land drop now. Mishra's Bauble, draw trigger. Second land. And a Delver of Secrets. Those are both things I wouldn't mind casting. Or playing, I guess. You don't cast lands. And we still have a non-zero amount of counters up. I'm pretty happy with this. I don't hate how this went. Inquisition. That's going to be trouble. Our Wooded Foothills is a swamp. I find that amusing. We are vulnerable to Liliana of the Veil now. I imagine we're going to see a Fatal Push. We're going to discard the Dismember. The opponent discarding a redundant Urborg. We're going to keep Spell Snare because it's our... Spell Snare's just better than Dismember. Unfortunately, we're not going to keep it. Our life total is relevant, but we also have Delver Scry. And I think I'd rather have the Delver Scry. Here is a Flooded Strand. I actually kind of want to draw that. So I think I'm going to. I'm not sure if we should draw it, but I think I want to. Get in for 1. We are super duper vulnerable to Liliana of the Veil. We are a little better off against Smallpox because we do have a third land. Smallpox, of course, going to make us sacrifice one of them. Here's just a Fatal Push. That's the promo. We have one of those too. Because we play Leagues, I think, is why I got it. Now, I actually don't mind thinning the deck here, so I think I'm going to grab just 2 non-basics, I think. Yeah, I don't think we can get punished. This isn't a deck that makes us want or not want basic lands in any particular way. Tarmogoyf, something I will jam. Pass it to the opponent. They know we have absolute nothing. And hopefully they just don't have an answer to this Goyf. Shrieking Affliction I'm okay with. We're going to take 3. They're going to take 5. I draw a Mishra's Bauble. That's interesting. We're going to knock the opponent down a bit. They haven't used this Inquisition yet. Have they? I wasn't keeping track. I'm bad. I apologize. Let's find out. Misty Rainforest. We used it. Serum Visions. Going through the game log. First Inquisition. Okay. Mishra's Bauble. Thoughtseize. Hand revealed. We used Mishra's Bauble. And Inquisition happened again? Yes, Inquisition happened again. This Inquisition's gone. We do not know their top card. So we may or may not want to play this Mishra's Bauble. Playing it protects a card from a discard spell, which actually seems like a really good idea because their deck is almost entirely discard spells. Any land that they draw is just going to retrace Raven's Crime. So I do think we play it. The downside to playing it is we are guaranteed to take the extra damage, which I don't think is actually that relevant. It also means the opponent has perfect information, but I think I'm okay with that. So we're going to pass to them, and I think I want to crack this now. Improve the sequencing just a little bit. Last time I didn't. They're going to draw a Swamp. They drew the Swamp. Can we get rid of that Inquisition? We can. Look at that. That is nice. We're going to take 3. Opponent's trigger going to resolve first, which means we don't get to save the bit of life. But we got to draw 2 very good cards. Knock the opponent down to 7 here. We know for a fact that they have a Swamp in hand, and I like how this game is shaping up. Thought Scour is basically just a draw spell. Is this a Liliana? It's a Wrench Mind. So we can either counter this or discard both cards in our hand. I don't think it's even a contest. If we let the Wrench Mind resolve, then we can't counter anything anyways. Here's a Raven's Crime. We can discard the Thought Scour, or we can use the Thought Scour first. Does that matter at all? We might draw a Bolt. It was a Traverse. What are you going to do? It's not like we were going to play around mill the bad cards, don't mill the good cards kind of thing. Hooting Mandrills, we actually still might lose this game. It's entirely possible. The opponent has a Swamp in hand, but, well, we're going to play around Smallpox by playing this Mandrills out. Also plays around Liliana of the Veil. Can we pop out this graveyard to get a better look at what we're delving here? Land, land, second Bauble, another land. We had a lot of lands. And extra Delver. That's fine. Pop it back in. We're playing around all of their removal. We're also playing around blockers. So playing out the Mandrills is good against Mutavault. 2 mana for the opponent looks like Smallpox, which is good for us, because playing out the Mandrills means we beat a top deck Smallpox. Smallpox. Fantastic. They have only a Swamp in hand, so it doesn't actually matter what we sacrifice. We each lose a life. I'm going to give up the Tarmogoyf, I think, because Mandrills is just more resilient. The opponent discarded their Swamp. We're going to sacrifice a land. And we're going to take 3 to this, go down to 2, and just barely squeeze by. Serum Visions, we're not going to bother playing that. Knock the opponent down to -3. Get that done. Fantastic. If we didn't play out the Mandrills, we probably would have lost. Let's head over to the sideboard. Is 8-Rack a deck I'm prepared against? It's probably something I should be prepared against. I think it's at least decent, the matchup, that's for sure. I feel like it's kind of sort of good, but I'm not sure. Ceremonious Rejection counters Ensnaring Bridge if they're running / boarding it in. It also counters their namesake, the Rack. I don't like it. Too restrictive. Yeah, that's just about it. Ceremonious Rejection is too conditional for this matchup, I think. We have cards like Stubborn Denial that do that and more. Disrupting Shoal, although Disrupting Shoal is going to come out because card disadvantage. Not something we want against a deck that actively wants us to be on the play. Huntmaster and Bedlam Reveler are cards I'm interested in, but I don't think I want, given the land destruction aspect of 8-Rack. They're great top decks, but Smallpox can be a very big beating. We definitely want this basic mountain. Artifact and Enchantment Hate are excellent. I'm not expecting them to go wide, and Blood Moon turns off Urborg, which is something. Turns off Mutavault, also something. I'm pretty sure the rest of their lands are basic swamp, so we will not be boarding in Blood Moon. We don't really care to be stealing their creatures, and they don't have red or green spells. So these are the 3 cards we're boarding in, and these are the 3 cards I'm going to consider. I don't want Disrupting Shoal. Serum Visions is fine in this matchup against similar decks to 8-Rack, Mill, and Lantern Control. I board out a number of Serum Visions, I believe, just because they tend to mill the top card. We can actually take a look. Lantern, no I don't. It's good enough, I guess. Against Mill, I think I do. Against Lantern, I guess it's fine. We need to board out at least 2 more cards. Dismember, pretty bad. Vapor Snag, also bad. So that's level 0. I think I want to take out Forked Bolt, possibly a Lightning Bolt. I don't know if I want to bring in Reveler or Huntmaster. If I'm bringing in one of them, I think it's Reveler, just because they're actively trying to get us into top deck mode anyways. Reveler can theoretically be cast on 2 lands, whereas Huntmaster always needs 4. Knuckleblade doesn't look great here. I don't really want to board out another Bolt effect. They often run Sin Collector. Can we conveniently pull up an 8-Rack deck? Probably not fast enough. We have 15 seconds left. We're going to run this. Not sure I actually want the Reveler. We're probably going to be on the play again. The opponent actively wants to put us on the play. I'm not sure we actually want to be on the draw in this matchup, just because Stubborn Denial and Spell Snare are both really good answers to Smallpox. And if they can get a very good Smallpox on turn 2, that can oftentimes just decide the game on its own. So I think I do want to be on the play, throw down a threat, have a counter. They chose not to play first again. We're going to keep this. We're going to be able to go land, Thought Scour, possibly Slam Goyf, possibly hold up Mana Leak. Not sure which one I like. Well, Goyf looks a lot worse. Who do we Thought Scour? I like that the opponent is down to 4 cards. Looks like they took a mulligan. Here's the Rack. We have nothing that can possibly counter that. We play around milling them into Raven's Crime, I think. I do want double red here, so I think I'm going to get the Steam Vents first. Yes, I will pay shock. I'm going to just mill myself, exile some cards. We're probably going to want that window open as well. That's annoying. Can we have this take out like... Okay, okay. We can do something like that. We don't use the chat anyways. We drew Delver. I like that. So, Delver or hold up Mana Leak. Goyf is basically not coming down until the opponent plays a spell or 2. I actually very much enjoy the idea of Ancient Grudge if there's nothing to leak. So I kind of just want to pass the turn. If we don't end up using the Mana Leak, we will have Delver plus Leak next turn. So I think we're just going to throw out a Wooded Foothills, pass it over to the opponent. If they have anything like a Smallpox, we're going to want to counter it. Shrieking Affliction, I think, is going to be just fine. We're going to blow up the Rack. Oh, sweet Jesus. That's so bad for our opponent. I'm going to grab the basic forest. Our life total is going to be relevant here. Blow up the first one. Rack's trigger, not going to do anything. Shrieking Affliction doesn't even get to trigger. Mandrills will... Oh, I guess we don't need our graveyard. Can we... No, that's not a thing? Okay. Well, we're just going to waste space then. Delver, Hold Up Leak. Seems fine. Seems at least okay. We're going to want to close the game sooner or later. The opponent with an artifact in the graveyard, very relevant. That's going to help Goyf out. Inquisition of Kozilek, probably going to take... I want to say Knuckleblade. I kind of just want to counter this, just because they can't Liliana anyways, and Liliana is the scariest thing here. We'll exile that Misty. I kind of want double red. Yeah, well actually Bedlam Reveler is going to be god-awful, so I don't care about double red. It is at least somewhat of a consideration with Knuckleblade, but we need another land anyways in that case. I'm just going to counter this. Play to the board a little bit. We still have plenty of cards in hand. If they have another discard spell, whatever. We have enough life to work with that. I'd rather keep my great hand intact. I think the hand's great. We can Hasty Nux here. Or we can Nux plus flashback Ancient Grudge. Think I want to flashback the Ancient Grudge. Just make it so that the opponent basically can't kill us. Ancient Grudge, that... Oh, it's exiled. I'm silly. And don't know how magic works. Well, we should have hit them for some more, but we're not going to. Unfortunately, we passed that. The Rack's going to successfully deal 3, Shrieking Affliction, dealing at least 1. Looks like the opponent's just going to go with that. Shrieking Affliction needs us to have 1 or fewer, and we straight up lose 3. I don't know how magic cards work. I apologize. I don't know how to play this game. We have nothing better to do than grow Nux, I think. We could keep Nux safe, but I think I'd rather... This is 5 damage, which means it's a 4-turn clock. If we grow Nux... instead, we have 7 damage, which is a 3-turn clock. I wish we could do 2 things. We either grow Nux or we play Goyf. Mandrill's looking very sad. Delver, not transforming yet. Ancient Grudge, not flashbackable from the Exile Zone because I don't know how magic cards work. I don't read them. I don't understand the rules of the game. We're going to let attacks happen. I think in blocks I just want to make this bigger. What are the chances they have a board wipe? I think they do run Bontu's Last Reckoning. That's a reason to grow this. I suppose that's also a reason to just hold up our mana, but we're bluffing Stubborn Denial, so what are you gonna do? We'll let the opponent see what's up. They just have Swamp. They hadn't made their land drop for a while there, so they just top-decked that. Which means their hand is, I'm assuming, just atrocious? I really couldn't say what it is. Traverse the Ulvenwald. Transforms Delver. Finds us an... Actually, that's going to find us a mountain? Is that relevant? Do I just want another island? We traverse here. Finds us... I think I'd rather have triple blue before triple red. We can't do another thing, unfortunately. Delver grew, though, so that means this is 7. If we grow Nux... That's a total of 9 damage, puts the opponent to 3. Is that relevant? Keeping Tarmogoyf in hand actually seems not bad. Keeping Nux bounce up gives us inevitability. This is a 2-turn clock anyways. I'm just going to ignore the possibility that we draw Lightning Bolt. Bolt is the reason to grow Nux here. You grow Nux, you hope to top deck Bolt, you close out the game a turn early. Otherwise, our clock is unchanged. So I think I'd rather just keep mana up to bounce Nux. And we're going to swing for lethal here. Don't know what the opponent's drawing. Maybe more ley lines? I assume if they had discard in hand, they'd be using it. I don't know. I'm just going to swing for game. Here's a Fatal Push targeting Delver that's going to resolve. After that, I believe I'm going to go to blockers and then attempt to grow this Knuckleblade. See if we can finish off the game. I don't think they have instant speed removal for this. They don't. There you have it. Beating Leyline of the Void out of 8-rack. This was the second match in the league. I apologize. I'm terrible with just about everything. Apparently, everything but playing this deck. I don't even know the rules of the game, and I can pilot it. So there you go. You don't even have to know how to play Magic to play this deck. It just sort of runs itself, I guess, once you've played like hundreds of matches with it. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.